One of the most anticipated characters, Cartethyia, is finally here in version 2.4 of Wuthering Waves. In today's video, I'll be going over her kit, what her team and rotation looks like, what her best builds are, and finally investment priorities. Cartethyia is a basic attack arrow erosion DPS who scales entirely off of HP. You can play as both Cartethyia or Fleur-de-Lis, with each form having their own unique idle animation, movesets, and playstyle. Her whole gameplay loop focuses on inflicting arrow erosion and applying buffs to herself in her Cartethyia form before utilizing that in her Fleur-de-Lis form to deal insane amounts of damage. In Cartethyia form, her main focus is to summon 3 unique swords, granting her buffs during her Fleur-de-Lis form. Each sword has their own icon in her forte and has their own corresponding buffs when activated. Summoning these swords is pretty simple. Performing her full basic attack chain will inflict 1 stack of arrow erosion to the enemy and summons the Sword of Divinity, the one in the middle. The final hit of her basic attack 4 can be animation cancelled, which will be useful on your rotations. Next up, by performing her heavy attack or doing her intro skill, will summon the left sword, the Sword of Discord. Her intro skill will summon the sword while also inflicting 2 stacks of arrow erosion. Finally, her resonance skill will inflict 2 stacks of arrow erosion to the enemy and summons the right sword, the Sword of Virtue. After the skill is performed, it will allow Cartethyia to float mid-air with the expense of your stamina. Once you summon all 3 swords, simply perform a plunge attack to recall all the swords to activate the buff. The damage of this plunge attack is considered arrow erosion damage, and its damage is scaled based on the amount of swords recalled. After the buffs are active, you can now activate her Resonance Liberation and transform into Fleur-de-Lis. This will reduce her HP by 50% of her max HP and enters the manifest state for 12 seconds. During her manifest state, the swords that you recalled while in her Cartethyia form grants its own unique buffs. The Sword of Divinity grants the Mandate of Divinity, amplifying her arrow erosion damage by 50% and reduces its damage interval by 50%. The Sword of Discord grants the Power of Discord, causing her basic attack 5, mid-air attack 2, heavy attack, and her second resonance skill to raise the arrow erosion stacks on all nearby enemies to the highest stack among all enemies. Finally, the Sword of Virtue grants the Heart of Virtue, causing her 4th basic attack to generate a force field that stagnates enemies and increasing her resistance to interruption. Transforming into Fleur-de-Lis grants her new movesets that is different from her Cartethyia form. Her basic attack is now a 5-hit attack chain. She has a 2-part heavy attack. Her jump is replaced with an upward cut. Her mid-air attack is a 3-hit attack chain. And lastly, a 2-part resonance skill. As Fleur-de-Lis, your main goal is to generate conviction through all of her attacks to fill up her forte circuit. At full forte, you can then unleash her powerful ultimate, Blade of Howling Squall. This consumes all conviction and ends the transformation while also removing all erosion stacks on the enemy. For every erosion stack removed, increases the damage taken by the enemy by 20% for a maximum of 5 stacks. Another thing to note is that her basic attack 5, mid-air attack 2, and her second resonance skill will trigger 1 instance of arrow erosion damage and reduces the stack count by 1. So naturally, you would want a teammate that can constantly apply arrow erosion, and with that, let's move on to her teams. Carthethia's best in slot team will be Shakona and Arrow Rover. The buffs that these two provide allows Cartethyia to fully maximize her kit. Rover's outro skill increases the maximum stacks of arrow erosion to 6, allowing Cartethyia to fully utilize that 100% damage increase on her ult. On top of that, Rover can provide healing and arrow damage bonus thanks to their weapon. Finally, Shakona as the buffer provides arrow damage bonus, a constant application of erosion stack, and amplifies arrow erosion damage by 100% thanks to her outro skill. If you're missing Shakona, Sanhua as a replacement can work just fine thanks to her basic attack amplification from her outro skill. If you don't have Arrow Rover, Shorekeeper will do just fine as a replacement. This team will be her baseline free-to-play team. Even without Shakona or Arrow Rover, Cartethyia can still work just fine due to her base form inflicting arrow erosion, but her performance in damage and rotation will drastically be different. Moving on to her rotations, starting with her premium team, you first open up the fight with Arrow Rover's resonance skill, then into 2 mid-air attacks, plunge, and then repeat with resonance skill, 2 mid-air attacks, and then use their liberation. After that, follow up with their echo skill, enhance resonance skill, and finish it off by outroing to Shakona. After entering to Shakona, perform her basic attack 3 and 4, but cancel the 4th basic with a jump, followed by 2 mid-air attacks. Once she plunges on the ground, she will immediately follow up with her 4th basic. Once again, cancel it with a resonant skill. You'll then use her echo skill, enhance heavy attack, and then her liberation, and finally outro into Cartethyia. Once you intro with Cartethyia, immediately use her echo skill, perform her basic attack 2, 3, and 4, use her resonance skill, then perform a plunge attack. Finally, perform her resonance liberation to transform into Fleur-de-Lis. After transforming, perform her 2-part resonance skill, then follow up with her basic attack 3, 4, and 5, then follow up with her full basic attack strength. Then finish it off with her Resonance Liberation and outro into Aero Rover. For a more advanced combo, you would first jump, do 2 mid-air attacks, use a Resonance skill, 2 mid-air attacks, use your Resonance skill followed by her basic attack 3, 4, and 5. Then finish it off with her Liberation and outro to Rover. Now for her free-to-play team, you start off with Shorekeeper's Resonance skill and Echo skill, then perform her full basic attack chain followed by her heavy attack, then repeat with full basic attack chain and into heavy attack, and finally use her Liberation and outro to Sanhua. With Sanhua, immediately perform her Resonance skill and Liberation. After that, perform her heavy attack, and then use her Echo skill and outro to Cartethyia to do her rotations. Since Fleur-de-Lis consumes erosion stacks, you could also swap back to Cartethyia during her manifest state to inflict more erosion stacks. Moving on to her builds, starting off with her skill priority, you should max out her Forte first, followed by her Resonance Liberation, her basic attack, and then her Resonance skill. Her intro skill can stop at level 6 to save resources, but if you're someone who likes Cartethyia, then max out everything. When it comes to her weapons, her signature weapon, the Firestorm, is without a doubt her best in slot weapon. This weapon gives an insane amount of HP, its weapon passive ignores enemy's defense after casting intro skill or basic attack, and damage amplification when the enemy has arrow erosion. Her second best option will be Camillea's signature weapon, the Red Spring. It provides 30% basic attack damage bonus and 24% crit rate, allowing you to hit your crit ratios much better. If you don't have both weapons, the Emerald of Genesis will do just fine, allowing you to get more crit rate and energy regen. Next up is her Echo sets. The new set that came with this update, the Windward Pilgrimage, will be her best in slot set, with your main Echo being the Reminiscence Fleur-de-Lis. This set provides 40% arrow damage bonus and 10% crit rate when hitting enemies with arrow erosion. Now for her Echo stats, you would want to use a 4-4-1-1-1 setup with crit on the 4 cost and HP % on the 1 cost. This is because the 3 cost echoes grant flat attack as its secondary stat, meanwhile the 1 cost echoes grant flat HP. Another reason is that Cartethyia already has a lot of damage bonus from her echo set, kit, and teammate. Lastly, her signature weapon doesn't provide crit, so the 4 cost will compensate for that. For substats, you would want to hit crit rate, crit damage, 2 rolls on energy regen, HP %, basic attack damage bonus, and flat HP. When it comes to investment priorities, I recommend going for her signature first before her sequence node, and if you are planning on pulling for extra copies, I recommend stopping at S3. Her Sequence 1 allows her to transfer the erosion stacks of defeated enemies onto new targets. This is very beneficial in endgame modes such as Wuthering Waves. The second part of her sequence grants her 100% crit damage bonus when you have full conviction stacks. Her Sequence 2 increases the max erosion stacks by 3, which will free up Rover slot in the team or have 9 stacks of erosion on the enemy. This sequence also increases the multiplier of her base form and decreases her skill cooldown for every sword recalled. Her Sequence 3 allows her to inflict 2 stacks of arrow erosion while in Fleur-de-Lis form, and increases the damage multiplier of her final ultimate by 100%. Her Sequence 4 grants the entire team 20% damage bonus when inflicting a debuff to the enemy. Her Sequence 5 grants her a shield when she receives a fatal blow, and the HP cost of her ultimate only costs 25% instead of 50% of her max HP. Finally, her Sequence 6 raises the enemy's erosion stacks to max after using her final liberation, and it no longer clears the stack on hit. This sequence also grants her 40% damage on her Fleur-de-Lis form, and teammates can trigger erosion when they inflict erosion at max stacks. In summary, Cartethyia is a basic attack arrow erosion DPS scaling entirely off of HP. She's a character with a very fun and simple playstyle that makes use of the erosion mechanics. Even without her best in slot teammates, she's still flexible enough to work well with other characters. That concludes the guide. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video and want more guides in the future, please like and subscribe.